Bibbidi bobbidi boo.
We did it.
Huzzah!
We're back.
Hello.
Let's do this quickly. Jamie.
That's me. I'm Jamie. Jamie Collette specifically, and you can find me on my website, jamie-collette.com, or on Twitter @MuffinManifesto. And I have very little new to report this week, so that go follow me on the Twitters, and you'll find out if there's ever anything new to report, I guess.
Magic. Hi. Nadine.
Hi, I'm Nadine. You can find me NE_actor on Twitch or Twitter, where I do general shit posting, voice acting, and just creative shit.
Shit posting and general shit.
Yeah.
Magic.
Not actual shit. That's not me.
Oh my god! Actually, you've reminded me of a story I should tell. It's only very
Not
brief.
now.
No, it's only very brief, and it is related to it being this
Sam,
week
tell us.
specifically.
Sam, save us!
Oh. Hi. Rude, but also hi. I'm Sam. I'm a voice actor and performer. You can find me on Twitter at @the_RealSammyP. I guess if you live in the sort of southeastern region of Queensland, then late November, early December, you can see me in a show, which I don't think they've started. I think the tickets are available, but they've not actually started promoting it. I'm not keeping track of it, but
You're just there for the show. You don't keep track of it otherwise.
well, like we did this whole thing to take photos for like a cast announcement, and I was like, once I have those, I can start sharing them and tweeting them, and no, I've not seen them. It was supposed to be like last week. I haven't seen any of them. But
and the show's name?
What's the show?
Rock of Ages.
Rock of Ages.
Yes.
Go.
Hi there. You can catch up with me, Michelle V69 on Twitter, alternatively MichelleRvalancourt.com. Those are the two places you will oft find me talking about just about anything that crosses my mind, but mostly gaming and politics. Yay! I'm also an author. Find me on Amazon.
Magic. I am Shauntelle B. You can find me on Twitter at Shauntelle B. You can find me on my webpage at wordswithcolor.com. You can find me through Linktree with everything that I do. That's the fastest I've managed to make that happen. Chris.
You forgot Chris.
No, because I'm about to hand over to Chris. I'm just reveling in the fact that I just did that. Chris, tell us who you are. Tell us where we can find you. Tell us what we're doing today, and take it away.
Excellent. My name is Chris Geary. You can find me at Chris Geary in the chat, and also at Chris Geary on Twitter. You can find the game that we're continuing to play here, Omens Rising, on Twitter at Omens Rising, or on Facebook at facebook.com/Omens Rising. Either place, and you can get some updates as they roll out. So far, they've been a little slow going, but we've gotten through our alpha playtesting. This is our 6th and final alpha playtest, and we will then move into beta, which is exciting. And there'll be a closed beta that we will work with places that are, people that want to stream it, people that want to play it privately, whatever the case may be. So, look for that. Outside of that, you can also find me starting 2 weeks from tomorrow on Lunar Howl Gaming as part of an Isekai Exalted 3rd Edition game. Should be fun. Playing a bunch of people abducted from basically New York City Central Park and thrown into the world of creation. And we have to figure out why we have powers and what they mean. So... come for the shenanigans, stay for the character development, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. So for tonight, where we left off, last week, we found our crew together as they met with Basara Mercantile's patron and matron, shall we say, Ishmael and Salma. And they welcomed the party into their home and the ambassador, and there was a bit of an exchange about Salma's past with the Kisnuek, as well as the future of one Omar Basara, who at the end of the session, we found ourselves, or we found a distraught mother and an abducted child with a note that could be interpreted maybe as comforting or not, about the child now being with the order. For those of you that missed some of the previous episodes where we discussed or hinted at the order's presence, the Order of the Petite Moon or the Order of Fate, it has many names across many cultures. It is considered to be an order of those who were born under the same prophecy as Omar. The rumor has it, and most of it is once were rumor, pre-decimation rumor, that the order and the members of it, when properly trained, could perceive the future and the past. But for now, what our party knows is that the shadowy figures took off into the desert, into the dunes, out the East Gate, or the Dunes Gate. And they've headed out into the bright desert by some sort of travel means. I know Morgan was quick to run after them, cursing prophecies as he went.
That's the plan. Go rescue the baby. Save the cheerleader, save the world. Something like that.
Yeah.
Save the baby cheerleader, save the world.
Let's find some tropes and mash them up and see what comes out of it. We'll go from there. Or some pop culture references as well.
When we catch up, will it be 3 men and a little baby?
It could be.
3.5 men.
You have no idea how many abductors there was.
True.
So we might have 3 men and a baby, an a cappella song, and a ghost in the curtains even.
So many options.
Maybe a ghost train in the curtains.
Bunch of pirates chanting Hook, who knows? All right.
So Morgan is apt to run after them. What do the rest of you, I know Anaton had kind of stopped and waited to kind of collect and see collect the group as a whole before moving on. I do remember that after noting the direction in which they went. And you did make reference, I do believe in character, to the compass that was pointing, well, the character looked at the compass and pointed in a specific direction as to which way Anaton believes Omar has gone. Was that correct as a summary?
Yes. And specifically, Anaton had asked the mother that if this is the way of the world, does she want the way of the world changed? Mm-hmm. Because she had said, oh, yes, there's rumors about this. It happens to every kid, who's birthed with this particular gift, this particular prophecy. Well, okay, if it happens to all of them, do you want to be the one that changes that? Mm-hmm. She said, yes. Okay, game's on. Which was the point that they took out the compass and said, yep, that way.
Excellent. And what was Indy doing? I know there's the conversation with the mother, but what is Indy's, I guess, next inclination?
It's midnight, right?
Correct. Well, I mean, the moon is at its apex, whatever time that may be.
Yeah. Indy would probably head. I'm not sure. Actually, not sure what Indy would do Indy wants to head off in the direction of them.
Are you indecisive about it?
Am I indecisive about this? Well, actually, it's not indecision. It's unknowing. Indecision is I don't know which
Nice
of
to meet
things
you,
to
unknown.
do.
Yeah, unknowing is the like second cousin once removed
Yeah.
of indecision.
Yeah, like I don't even have options to be indecisive about right now. None of the things that Indy's primary thought make sense. So I guess watch and wait for more information. Because if Enatan is saying something about knowing the direction and that not being a surprise, and if the mother vaguely knew what was happening, and if there is a letter that has been left, where would they go? Is kind of Indy's thought.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the night.
Yes. I mean, you never know what might be in that history book of the ones were.
Yes.
Not saying that you have to do that or that there's an answer in there. Just saying it's a possibility that might cross Indy's mind.
Yeah. Indy will hold the book, but not open it. And turn to Enatan and say, what do you know about this?
Are you asking that question out loud or
yes.
via okay, then Enatan will reply. Will reply verbally. All I know is that we're all here for a reason. She is upset. She wishes her child returned. They are going to be exceedingly loath to do that politely. Yes, they unhook their shield, adjust the strap on it, hang it back, sling it back over their shoulder, and spin the stick slightly. So I'm about to start walking. And he heads off in the direction that the compass was pointing. Or they head off in the direction the compass is pointing.
Morgan, the direction that Morgan's already gone in. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I'm long now.
Yeah.
There will be a brief mental moment, if you will, be between Enatan and Indy. All I know is that the compass points in the direction I must go. I can't help but notice that also happens to be the direction your friend went.
Then it would seem that that is the best option. Unlike Enatan, we're actually switching now because Indy, because they want to just hold this book for longer, is going to pull their shield off, kick it a little bit to get it moving, and then sit on it, cross-legged, to think in that direction.
I just love that that visual image. Busy reading.
Busy, not reading, not opening the book. Busy thinking about whether or not to open this book.
Busy thinking about whether or not they should be reading. Got it, yes.
That is exactly it.
Indy serenely traveling across the desert, deep in thought. In the background, Enatan is just doing some kind of gnarly grind across a rail that's for some reason on the dune. also deep in thought.
I like the sort of anime travel montage that we're building here. It's excellent. Right. Honestly, it's perfect for the game as well. So how does John Doe fit in to these actions?
So John Doe, when they got there, did sort of like a quick check for, to see if there's anything they'd left behind, and done all that, and had waited to hear what the mother had wanted to say. But John Doe is very much like, there is a limit to the amount of time he will ponder and plan before he's just like. So the fact that everyone else kind of just like left, like I think it's almost like he's not used to not being the first to go, but he's kind of loving it. He's just like, oh, I knew I loved these people, and he just starts.
I dig it. What about Sophia?
I think most everyone else is very intent on that way. Sophia wants to make sure that the fallout is okay before leaving. So she probably kind of like takes Salma to where's Ishmael? Where is the man?
He would actually be mustering up many of his employees to head out into the night himself.
And is he going?
He has every intent on going.
I think she'll is he on an animal vehicle?
Actually, they are on foot until they reach the outside wall, at which point they will go to one of their skiffs or barges and prepare it to launch. The airship of sort. It's more of a hovercraft.
That is going to be a lot faster than. They just look over to like the slow crawl of Indy on top of a slowly moving shield. You've all gone in separate directions. I have a perfectly fast vehicle here. Well, not separate directions, but away from where I am right now.
Pick us up on the way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like we're all the same direction. You can just like.
There's that like.
Head in, bitch. We're going saving a baby.
Timon and Pumbaa slow running, and then like when Timon goes really fast, and he's like, "Why are you going so slow?" That's gonna be me. Like, why are you going so slowly? Get on the barge. Okay. Well, if that's the case, Sophie's, yep.
In before Anaton, I guess, hover skis behind the hovercraft.
There's like a sick tray. Once again. Okay. All right. Then in that case, Sophie's definitely going to be getting on this barge because this barge is going to be far quicker. However, two things. First one's going to be after the second one. Second one's going to be they'll go up to Ishmael and they'll say, now, of course, I understand that you are exceedingly worried about your child, which is understandable. However, I believe that you have someone here who is going to need you. Do not leave what is important to you because you feel like you must do action. It's just kind of like nodding towards his wife.
Yes, right.
All I'm saying is perhaps have a conversation before rushing off into the night.
That's probably prudent, yes. And he'll return to Salma. And as they exchange words, is there anything else that Sufia would wish to do before disembarking?
Is it east? We're going east.
Mm-hmm.
Sophia's going to take out a very small little telescope, and they're going to look out into the distance. What is the weather system looking like now?
Currently, what you would see is clear skies, and hanging just beneath the clear night sky with all of the constellations mapped out above. You see the haze of what you would know from your previous trips here to be the sandstorms that come and go. It doesn't look particularly dark or menacing, but the night winds, at least along the horizon somewhere, are swirling and getting up to their normal kind of shenanigans.
I think they're going to kind of like pull back on their arm some of their clothing, and they just want to see if any of the like hairs on their arm are standing up.
Not at this distance.
We'll see. No, hop on the barge.
On the barge itself, you'll see they're shaped similar to sails, but they're made out of metal, and they have a variety of like a web of wires that kind of crisscross them. Think kind of like the DeLorean in Back to the Future, thick like cords of cables, and they run from node to node, each node having a crystal connected to it, sizable. Would have to be held likely with two hands for most people, but and I don't know how much Sufia dabbles in like mineralogy and things of that sort, geology, but these would be fulgurite crystals that are made when the desert lightning strikes the land, and they've definitely seen them before in their travels, whether or not they're familiar with what they are or why they're on the ship itself. When I say they're shaped like sails, they are, but they come up more like a dome over the top, and think of it like two wings that are kind of folded up over the top of it, rather than to catch any wind or anything of that nature. Kind of like a ceiling of sorts, or a roof of sorts, but it's layers of them rather than one solid piece.
I think Is there like a pilot, a captain to this
Mhm.
this vessel?
Yeah. It's on the actual barge itself. It looks like a river going or sea-going vessel. There's a cabin near the rear that has the wheel. Toward the front, there seems to be, instead of a crow's nest to go up to look, it seems to be forward facing, almost like the intricate carvings that some 1600 ships would have on the bow. Instead, it's a place to sit and look out across the landscape in front, and then you'll notice there are similar positions basically at all four cardinal directions, if this ship were sitting perfectly aligned. So
I think
they
the-
that's kind of how they guide or look or watch the night.
Gotcha. I think Sophia will go up to like the nearest kind of crew member,
Mhm.
and kind of pull them to the bow of this vessel, and open up like a small pouch on their back, on the like waistband, and dip 2 fingers in there. They'll be like, come close. And they'll like lean over the bow, and you'll see like two like she's dipped her fingers in like a red dust, but it's like it's liquid, it's viscous.
Mhm.
And she kind of like puts 2 fingers across this the front of this bow, just right over the edge, and they're kind of like nodding to themselves, and they say, stripes, they make them go faster.
Get out.
I
Get
was just gonna say
out.
that is
Leave.
the
Get out.
most in character Shaggy Dog story I think I've ever heard in 30 years of gaming. Well done.
Nice.
I was like, oh, Nadine's getting so into it. It's all amazing. Get out. Just leave.
This is also Sophia. I don't know what to tell you.
The crewman thanks you for the blessing upon the ship and returns to what they were doing.
You see like a wry smile on Sophia's face, and then they'll kind of go up to the captain, and kind of like tap the wheel and say, okay, let's go. No time to waste.
The person at the helm will kind of look back towards where Ishmael is, and Ishmael will kind of wave on as if to leave, and the ship moves. It first kind of like shifts and floats, and you feel the weightlessness almost, as it were, and then it starts to lurch forward very slightly as it lifts into the air about 100 feet or so, and progresses into the night.
I'll make a note that if I see any of them, especially Morgan, I'll be like, get on the barge. Why are you running?
I mean, Morgan definitely jumps on the barge once it's.
Does anybody in particular have a specific way in which they wish to join the barge, or shall we just skip past that and move on to the Zoom, as Jet says?
Sheepishly?
Okay, sheepishly.
Sheepishly. Why didn't I think of that? Sheepishly.
Unironically, I think Anton will actually be the last one to get on board, because the only way to get on board a vessel that's 100 feet up in the air is by grabbing the rope or the ladder that has been dropped down. And so Eniton is just going to be basically, surfing along behind it, because Eniton is also very aware of the fact that any organization which is literally legendary in status is going to have this really probably good way of dealing with anything that's hanging 100 feet in the air above in a starlit night, and Aniton will happily make use of the speed of the vessel, but isn't riding on it.
Okay.
So he's
I have,
sand
for
surfing.
lack of a better way of putting it, I have no idea if surface to ground missiles are a thing in this universe, and I don't want to find out.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So yes, he will literally be, or they will literally be essentially shield using the docking ladder as a pull cord and their shield, and will be dune surfing the entire distance.
Perfect. So we've got a boogie boarding Eniton and John Doe. Anything in particular?
I don't think so. I think I think we get it's not like Indy gets on sheepishly and like, why didn't I think of that? And John Doe gets on excitedly being like, it's awesome you thought of that. You're great. Though there is probably a point, like, if climbing up onto this hovercraft, which sort of stops and just like allows him to, it's like hanging off the the rope ladder, just being like, whoa.
Love it. Love it. And Morgan, who's up front, the last one picked up.
Yeah, I think, man, Anaton looks so cool. Hey, Andy, can you throw me your shield?
Absolutely, most certainly not.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think he just jumps onto a rope that's nearby and sort of trails along.
As the group traverses the dunes, you'll note that the ship will pick up altitude in order to navigate the different peaks of the rolling dunes and avoid any sort of accidental bottoming out. Anaton, from your position, you will begin to note that they seem to be following the road and the compass is not pointing along the road. However, have you traveled this road much before? Or is this a new trip for Anaton?
I believe we had established that literally they have never been here before. They were literally not even planning on being here to start with. They were literally going somewhere else until they wound up here. And so, yeah, I think they are, there will be a moment of possibly then Anaton climbing up the rope ladder while keeping, the board, the shield slung over the shoulder again, what with the end of of it still wrapped around a foot, climbs up and says, "You're going the wrong way. They're that way. If you follow the road, you'll never find them." And then we'll just slide the whole way back down the rope ladder until he's swinging, until they're hanging upside down, drop the board, land on it, and keep going.
Okay, then. So anyone who wishes to catch that exchange, and the whatchamacallit, the pilot will shift and follow suit. but unless told otherwise.
Follow where Enitan's going.
So yes, periodically there will be a moment of Eniton hanging upside down with the shield reslung, basically trapeze hanging by with the one of the rungs behind the knees, looking at the compass, and everyone, if anyone's paying attention to Eniton, will gesture in the correct direction, sort of thing. Eventually, they'll climb back up when it becomes obvious that they're not that nothing was waiting for them. To do, okay, they're giving pursuit, blam, problem solved. They're no longer pursuing, they're fixing their ship. So if that doesn't happen in the first 10 minutes, then Eniton will join with everyone else up on top, just because it's easier to say, well, it's probably more that way.
Okay. I was about to say there's probably a point like, John does sort of looking down, so just mentions to whoever's nearby, it's like, you think they know it's easier to do that from up here? Oh, look, they worked it out.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. That's funny.
Excellent. Any other interactions that you all wish to have on the barge before we shift our travel or progress our travel scene?
I think Morgan finds a moment to find Sufia and says, so they think these people can see the past and the future.
Stranger things have been predicted.
Then they're going to know that we're coming.
Perhaps.
And they would have known that taking Omar would cause this.
Perhaps. What are your concerns?
That we're walking into a death trap?
Well, do I have something to tell you about the end of life?
Yeah, I mean, wait, you didn't see something, did you?
Oh, not as such, but I haven't tried. Is it true what you said? Do you hate prophecies?
Maybe? I think so, yes.
Are you sure?
I don't like what they do to people.
So is it the prophecy itself, or do you not like people?
No, I like people.
So is it the prophecy doing it to the people? Or is it the decisions that they make?
Maybe it's just that the people who put too much weight in prophecy. I'm not saying prophecies aren't real or that they can't have meaning. It's just, it's a lot of pressure.
This is true. What are you going to have for breakfast?
Oh, I don't know.
What if I suggested we have eggs? Eggs are nice.
Yeah.
So you would like eggs?
Sure.
Oh,
I like eggs.
I prophesied that we were going to have eggs. You have now decided that we are going to have eggs. Did I pressure you into having eggs, or did we have a conversation about it?
Would we have had the conversation if you hadn't prophesied that we were going to have eggs?
You are never going to have breakfast? That's not good.
No, I mean, I would have had breakfast.
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Or would you have suggested eggs?
Why wouldn't I suggest eggs? Eggs are
like
very
eggs?
nice. Do you want something else? Do you want fruit? Fruit is nice.
We could have grains.
Grains are also nice. Why not have all three? Treat ourselves.
That seems like a really heavy breakfast.
I mean, we're going to be doing a lot of traveling and existing is tiring.
Yes.
Have you ever been on one of these things before?
A smaller one. This is very fancy.
Right? Do you know much about the lightning here in the desert?
It hurts when it hits you.
Because someone told me that it comes up from the ground instead of down from the sky. Can it hit you?
How do you know what is the ground and what is the earth or the sky when everything is dust?
All lightning does that.
No, I've seen the lightning. It comes down from the...
Yes, but it also comes up from the earth. It's
That's
just
crazy.
the balance is different here.
Kisses in the middle.
You two make my head hurt.
I think
I
the
like it,
questions are
but
doing that.
Confusing.
Now I am hungry. I'm going to go find food.
I don't know if they have eggs.
And grains. And fruit.
Yes.
Sophia goes to find food.
Fair enough.
Morgan then volunteers to help be a lookout of some description for whatever it is they're looking for.
Okay.
Could Indy open the front cover of the book?
Mm-hmm.
And just spend some time with it. I think what they're looking for...
Are they opening it to the title page or to the blank page that's in there as a filler?
Just the blank page.
Okay.
They're looking at the blank page, and I'm happy to make a poll.
Mm-hmm.
What they're sort of doing is just looking at the blank page and trying to connect with the aether and make an image on the page in their mind. Just seeing what their mind throws up.
Okay. Go ahead and draw up to a hand of 4. And let me know what...
How do I put it in my head? Can I forget?
If you right click, you should be able to take it. Take card.
I did it. There we go. Okay. So. I'd like to use inquisitive.
Okay.
And yeah, can use the aetheral. None of these cards are good. But use the aetheral and use this here 3.
Okay.
And because they're using the book, which is their significant item, it's the item plus inquisitive plus future planning gives them a +1.
Excellent.
Is that right?
So that'll be a 4 plus, what is your base inquisitive?
My base inquisitive is a 9.
9. And your affinity suit?
My affinity suit is the spades.
Is
So
spades.
it's not that.
Okay. No problem. I probably should just write those down so I can just point to it when it is relevant. So that's a 13. And you're trying to conjure an image, just whatever comes to mind.
Sort of cast about.
While that's happening, I'm going to circle back. John Doe, you said you were helping kind of look out. Correct?
No, that was Jamie.
Oh, that was Morgan. Sorry.
Yep.
Morgan is helping with lookout. Any particular part of the ship, the bow, one of port, and I can't remember the other one.
Starboard.
Starboard.
Let's be realistic. Morgan's probably right up the front.
Okay.
He thinks that that's the most effective way to do it, whether it's true or not.
Mm-hmm. Would you be looking to play a card? Shauntelle, you can go ahead and discard one at this time.
Yes. Yeah, I think I would.
Okay.
Might also be inquisitive here.
Give me a second to shuffle these in. Okay. Go ahead and draw up to 4. And what aptitude are you using as you scan the darkened horizon, the different shades of midnight, as it were?
Yeah. Explorer is the more obvious one, isn't it? That said, I think that conversation has left him more in his feelings, and I think I'm also going to use inquisitive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna let me just have a look at my character sheet because I gotta remember this thing.
No problem.
My guide is the I think this is the thing. Like, Morgan takes up this spot to be lookout, but instead of scanning all of the dust in the horizon or whatever, which is, I imagine, fairly unchanging in a desert, he gets caught up in possibilities and imagining what's about to happen, and what could lie in wait for Omar, and it brings up a lot of feelings. I'm going to play the King of Hearts.
Okay.
Wow.
So the king is 13 points. What is your inquisitive?
I think it's my special one. Let me find. God, sorry, my computer is being annoying. Yeah, my inquisitive is 12.
Okay.
And hearts is my affinity.
Okay, so that's a 27. All right, I'll circle back.
+1 for my guide.
Oh, yes. So 28. And I will circle back to that resolution here in a second. John Doe, what is John Doe doing at this moment? Go ahead and discard one, Morgan, or Jamie.
Yes. I will discard this other hearts card.
Thank you. Is John Doe doing anything?
I think John Doe is found like he's not gone to one like the actual like those like the 4 cardinal lookout points or something, but he sort of found a spot on deck somewhere where he's kind of just enjoying the experience of being on this sort of hover barge, like the feel of the, the desert air, the bustle as people move around. And it's kind of just taking it all in.
And that's a good point. It's cool, crisp air for anyone who has not been in a desert at night. There's a different feel about it than a place with more humidity. Is there any particular act as they take it all in? Are they fully in the here and now? Are they letting themselves slip between two worlds?
I think they're he's not trying to sort of slip into the ethereal. He's sort of in the prime.
Okay. Excellent.
I mean, if it's useful, I could do a draw for something.
Nothing is necessary.
Yeah.
I have tie-ins for everyone. It's whether or not you want to place effort to do anything in particular. So it is not a wasted opportunity, as it were.
In this moment, where what is essentially is like we are approaching something where there will need to be obviously a lot of action, but in this moment they are not there yet, and so he's sort of taking the time to sort of fully absorb as much of this experience as he can. And kind of almost like internalize it.
Love it. Love it.
Because any kind of new experience, particularly experiences from like other people, he's very much interested in having. So he's sort of like taking this moment when they're sort of, they've got an important job to do, but they can't do it right now. So he's sort of taking that moment to
Excellent.
have this experience, I guess.
I feel like I've got a solid grasp on that. So Michelle, for Eniton, other than playing Navigator, of course, is there any other layers to what Eniton is doing at this moment, or is the focus strictly on getting to the destination?
I think, in stark contrast perhaps to his flamboyant behavior earlier, in fact, Eniton has gone very, very quiet, almost still, standing not far from whoever the helms person is. Periodically will take out the compass, look at it, gesture, close it, put it away. And other than that, they are just sort of leaning, holding on to their staff. And Eniton is very much a creature of the present, but they're also sort of pursued by this grip of the ethereal, as it were. So I think, for lack of a better explanation, they're trying to get a sense, if all of this is prophesized, Eniton has sort of reached the same conclusion that Morgan had already verbalized. Whether Eniton heard them consciously or not, I don't know, but Eniton has sort of reached the same mental space that if this is all prophesized, we are going to meet someone who already knows the outcome. So the question becomes, what is the outcome? So I think they're allowing that sense of destiny, of fate in progress, if you will, to wash over them. Very much, being that a magical ethereal person in the moment. So I think so I guess the question I have is, mechanically I notice, so is there a challenge we are collectively all trying to contribute cards to, or is it just if you want to try and achieve something, you can put a card down?
It's the latter. If there's a specific act that you want to, that your character would put extra effort into at this moment, to put a card down. I have a variety of things that we built into every character for this travel montage already. But anything that you'd like to augment that with or contribute to that, I'm opening the floor.
Okay.
So to
I don't
speak.
have a, yeah, okay, cool. I don't have a clear sense of what a mechanical action that would be appropriate right now would be. So I think right now it is just, they're going to be open and wait for destiny to arrive, I guess is the best way
to
explain it.
Excellent. Beneath the deck in the kitchen area, we find Sufia, who sought out food, but also possibly maybe a more private space. Who knows? What do we see there? Anything that we should be aware of?
Chris, I have
yes.
a really quick question that I don't know if it might impact this or not. But everyone's talking about prophecy and fate. At one point you explained to me the difference between, is it destiny and fate?
Yes.
Could you explain those differences again? Because they're different.
Yeah, well, actually, destiny, prophecy, and fate all are maybe coordinating in some ways, but they are not the same. So fate is an external power that has some sort of pull or push on an effect. Sometimes it is a path that cannot be avoided. Sometimes it is an event that is going to happen, but how it happens is what can be changed. But the event itself cannot be stopped. That is, in essence, fate. Destiny is similar, but it is within the person. It's from the person's view of reaching wherever that endpoint of their path is, or maybe not even the endpoint, but different benchmarks of their path as they walk their path. Connects to that bit of destiny, and it is of their own making. And prophecy is, I guess, the hopes and dreams that the world has for that person. And since it comes to us often in our most formative states, early childhood with a birth prophecy, or maybe at a turning point in our characters' lives where they need to make a decision, it can be shaping in ways. Does that help? Yeah. So fate is the external world. Think of it, Plato once said that there are only two original stories. A man goes on a journey and a stranger comes to town. In my opinion, they are two sides of the same story, just from different perspectives. Destiny is the person journeying, and fate is the destination that's laid in the path of the person who's journeying, the stranger that's shown up. Does that help differentiate the two a little bit more? One has more autonomy to it than the other. A kind of a foil of one another. Mhm. Yes. So back in the kitchen,
I think
eggs. How do you like your eggs?
Yes.
Okay. So
Scrambled, fried.
fried, poached.
Whatever you like.
I heard that.
So we see Sophia experimenting with the different cookware they have there, and trying out different preparations of egg. We have a fried egg, a poached egg, working. The poached egg is still in process.
It's done that thing where like it's got like little tails, and they're like, oh, damn it. I say spin, but when I spin, nothing works. They're making like a little charcuterie board, cutting up grapes, like a little honey.
Love it. Love it.
Everything is one for the charcuterie board, one for Sophia's mouth.
Yes. The best way to prepare food.
Mm-hmm.
Must taste everything to make sure that it is appropriate
Exactly.
for those in which you are feeding. I fully support this. As that is happening, is Sophia fully present in that activity? Or
No.
is their mind elsewhere?
No, Sophia's never fully present anywhere. I think it's dipping. It's kind of constantly swaying between past, present, and future. Right now, especially with their journey to this place, they are dipping more and more into the past, and they don't like that. That's not normally what they like to do. They don't like to kind of linger on that. But it's like they'll like dip a grape into the honey, and they'll be like, oh, they like that. No. And yeah, they're trying not to think about their estrangement from their partner or their lover.
Excellent. So to bring this full circle, I'm going to start with the bow, and with Morgan at the bow. And Morgan finds himself seeing but not looking. You had mentioned kind of being overwhelmed with emotion, in a sense, like letting it kind of wash over Morgan, or succumb to it in a way that Morgan hadn't earlier, correct?
Yeah.
And in this moment, the shadows are moving, and they're moving differently. And you can see in the not so far distance 3 individuals on some sort of either creature or mechanism, weaving through the dunes, slightly off to the port side of the ship. And that weaving back and forth that they do reminds you of one of the caretakers early on in Morgan's life, who, when she would sit with Morgan, as Morgan would recount triumphs or tribulations, or whatever Morgan wished to share with her, she'd braid her hair in a very kind of similar fashion over her shoulder, and weaving very gently and fluidly as she takes her hair and braids it. I believe this is, I want to say Cassiopeia, and I think that is incorrect.
Oh.
The ambassador's daughter.
Yeah. Calliope.
Calliope, there we go. Calliope, you both are much younger at that time. Not too young, but maybe on the cusp of double digits, maybe slightly younger than that. And at that time, she had worn her hair very, very long. It was a phase that she went through, and she was trying to get it as long as she possibly could. And there's that innocence to that moment that kind of rests in the chest of Morgan as he notes what he may believe, it's up to you, could be whom you are pursuing.
Yeah, interesting.
Before he responds, sit with that. I'm going to kind of go around and then let you all kind of intertwine and interweave your bits. John Doe, as you sit and think, the black of night turns more grayscale, and it reminds you of some of those visions, that destination that you've been walking toward or traveling toward, how it's kind of fuzzy off in the distance, but now instead of fuzzy in the distance, it's the swirling sands that are causing the haze. And that part is becoming much clearer to you. And behind that haze, a silhouette begins to take shape. It's the silhouette of a bluff. Flat, almost perfectly geometrically flat across the top. And it tapers on each side. And across what you would perceive to be the base of that bluff twinkles little lights. Maybe they are starlights, maybe they are the flickers of candle lights. That is imperceptible at this time. But there's a bit more definition to that destination that you've been seeking. And we find a similar swirling happening in the image that Indy is conjuring in her mind as she stares at the blank page at the front of this book. And within that swirl, think of it more as a frame of swirling sand rather than a veil. And it is a bluff, clearly. And there's a city at the base of it. It feels familiar, like tales told by elders around or at gatherings where food is plenty and laughter even more plentiful, where they talk of times once were and places once traveled. Not necessarily familiar as in a place that Indy has been or resided, per se, but a place that feels connected the way that the retelling of stories and histories connects us to our past and to ourselves. And below deck, unbeknownst to Sufia's hands, she's laid out charcuterie board in this same shape. This bluff with a dotted city along the sides. The honeypot obviously standing out at one end and not really part of the picture, or maybe it's symbolic of something else. But as what comes from the weave to the weavers is not always what is intended, and Sufia is no stranger to this. Her hands make a mosaic of grapes and olives and cheeses and meats and breads and different roots that have been chopped and placed. We see Inaton near the helmsman, letting kind of being fully in the moment with the barge and noting at the same time that Morgan notes that the three figures dart quickly portside and away in between two large dunes. Anaton, you feel compelled to grab the wheel and swing the barge that direction. Do you give in to the inclination, or do you instead give the command to the helmsman? The compass also shifts its position quickly, if you're wondering.
I think this is that moment where who Eniton is and who Eniton likes to be are vaguely in conflict with each other. But one of his aptitudes is dynamo. And so I think this is not the time for subtle. So yes, I think he will say something suitably dramatic, like it's a trap, and slam the wheel over, hopefully in such a way that the helmsman doesn't fight with him or fight with them, because there has been a word of something that sounded like warning given as Eniton, takes their job away from them, right? Which is but yeah, I think yes, in that moment, that is they will let that dynamo aspect of themselves be forward for one more moment, seize the wheel, steer sharply, give a warning cry, and hope they've got it right.
Yeah, I think like as it's happening, Morgan yells, "Yes, to port! They're there, between the dunes," and then like mutters under his breath, "I'll show you finding what's lost."
The barge jerks hard to port and is struck by lightning 3 times. It ripples across the sails or the metal sheets that create a roof that look like sails, and runs across the cables that web over them, and each of the fulgurite crystals ignites with a bright light. You notice because it lights up above you, not because it blinds you. And it doesn't necessarily brighten the deck, because all of these crystals are atop of the sails as they were. So it's more like having a light right above whatever awning or whatnot it is that you're standing under illuminate and cascade light all around the ship, and you see the details of the dunes as it swerves between these two large mounds. And the helmsman giving in, but also trying to think of like, well, how long do I let go, and when do I need to pull it back? And there's some hesitation in their movements as they right the ship after the turn is made, and they catch part of one of the dunes, and there's this choppy moment as the pilot, a little shaken, sets it down just on the other side of the two large mounds of sand. And sprawling before you is a ruined city. And in the night, the shadow silhouette of what looks like a bluff hangs as a backdrop, with three smaller figures darting into the ruins themselves. This is where we're going to take our break. And we will venture into, well, it depends on what culture you come from, but either the city of constellations, or the city of stars, or the city of shadows.
Okay.
Why hands?
Have you considered that you might like a disguise that doesn't involve being wrapped up in veils?
Yes.
Will you let me do your makeup?
No.
You
Think don't be afraid.
you look like you need a ride. You look like you need a ride. I'm here to help, but I don't think that I can fit your friend there. Can you ask them if they are going to eat me?
Depends
In
on
that
your
case-
answer.
My name is Michel Vaillancourt. I'm the games master and storyteller for Unlawful Disorder. I've been asked to give a summary of events of the game, but that seems a little strange because, well, that's the job of the players. Don't ask me what the story is, I'm just the guy telling it. So, let's talk about how we got here. So, about a year ago, I saw a bunch of really talented people doing some really cool stuff, and I thought, well, that's cool, I'll have to keep them in mind. And a little while after that, I got a call from a roleplay channel asking me to set up a game. They wanted a European time zone friendly game. So I went back and I called up the cool people doing the cool stuff. So that would be Shauntelle and company. Cool. So, after that, we took a little bit of time, discussed a good D&D campaign, and I brought forward one of my homebrew worlds, and they looked at me and said, no.
You're sure he's not going to eat me?
He's not gonna eat you.
Okay, I'm a friend then.
Depends
In
on
that
your
case,
answer.
It's not the name that's on the bounty, and that's all that matters to me.
Okay. Now I just have to remember to respond to it.
Well, you'll do that, won't you, Aerith? Aerith,
Are you going to eat them?
Considers it.
By the way, you have no clue what she's on about. Like, you've never seen one of these things before.
He's a vegan.
Oh, what?
Definitely don't know what that is.
I don't care what he is. He's got big teeth.
You do have big teeth. Nothing.
Hugo's grasp of the trade tongue is
Oh,
body.
do you? Oh, do you? What do you eat them?
Sort of looks back up. I will not consume that person.
Could you be a little more generic and just say you're not going to consume anyone in the city as well, just to make it easier?
That'd be great.
Sort of reverting back to Elvish, like,
Just try.
what language?
know?
I'm not gonna eat people.
I know you're not going to eat people.
Language is hard.
I know. Just say it the way I'm telling you to say it. I'm not going to eat the city.
I'm not gonna eat the city.
Yes.
I'm not gonna eat the city.
Sambro.
Mental image got too funny.
Why hands?
Have you considered that you might like a disguise that doesn't involve being wrapped up in veils?
Yes.
Will you let me do your makeup?
No.
You.
Think they'd be afraid.
You look like you need a ride. You look like you need a ride. I'm here to help, but I don't think that I can fit your friend there. Can you ask them if they are going to eat me?
Depends
In
on
that
your
case-
answer.
My name is Michel Vaillancourt. I'm the games master and storyteller for Unlawful Disorder. I've been asked to give a summary of events of the game, but that seems a little strange because, well, that's the job of the players. Don't ask me what the story is, I'm just the guy telling it. So, let's talk about how we got here. So, about a year ago, I saw a bunch of really talented people doing some really cool stuff, and I thought, well, that's cool, I'll have to keep them in mind. And a little while after that, I got a call from a roleplay channel asking me to set up a game. They wanted a European time zone friendly game. So I went back and I called up the cool people doing the cool stuff. So that would be Shauntelle and company. Cool. So, after that, we took a little bit of time, discussed a good D&D campaign, and I brought forward one of my homebrew worlds. And they looked at me and said, no.
You're sure he's not going to eat me?
He's not gonna eat you.
Okay, I'm a friend then.
Depends
In
on
that
your
case,
answer.
It's not the name that's on the bounty, and that's all that matters to me.
Okay. Now I just have to remember to respond to it.
Well, you'll do that, won't you, Aerith? Aerith,
Are you going to eat them?
Considers it.
By the way, you have no clue what she's on about. Like, you've never seen one of these things before.
He's a vegan.
Oh, what?
Definitely don't know what that is.
I don't care what he is. He's got big teeth.
You do have big teeth. Nothing.
Hugo's grasp of the trade tongue is
Oh,
body.
do you? Oh, do you? What do you eat them?
Sort of looks back up. I will not consume that person.
Could you be a little more generic and just say you're not going to consume anyone in the city as well? Just to make it easier.
That'd be great.
Sort of reverting back to Elvish, like,
Just try.
what language?
know?
I'm not gonna eat people.
I know you're not going to eat people.
Language is hard.
I know. Just say it the way I'm telling you to say it. I'm not going to eat the city.
I'm not gonna eat the city.
Yes.
I'm not gonna eat the city. I'm not gonna eat the city. Mental image got too funny.
Why hands?
Have you considered that you might like a disguise that doesn't involve being wrapped up in veils?
Yes.
Will you let me do your makeup?
No.
You.
Think don't be afraid.
You look like you need a ride. You look like you need a ride. I'm here to help, but I don't think that I can fit your friend there. Can you ask them if they are going to eat me?
Depends
In
on
that
your
case-
answer.
My name is Michel Vaillancourt. I'm the games master and storyteller for Unlawful Disorder. I've been asked to give a summary of events of the game, but that seems a little strange because, well, that's the job of the players. Don't ask me what the story is, I'm just the guy telling it. So, let's talk about how we got here. So, about a year ago, I saw a bunch of really talented people doing some really cool stuff, and I thought, well, that's cool, I'll have to keep them in mind. And a little while after that, I got a call from a roleplay channel asking me to set up a game. They wanted a European time zone friendly game. So I went back and I called up the cool people doing the cool stuff. So that would be Shauntelle and company. Cool. So, after that, we took a little bit of time, discussed a good D&D campaign, and I brought forward one of my homebrew worlds. And they looked at me and said, no.
You're sure he's not gonna eat me?
He's not gonna eat you.
Okay, I'm a friend then.
Depends
In
on
that
your
case,
answer.
It's not the name that's on the bounty, and that's all that matters to me.
Okay. Now I just have to remember to respond to it.
Well, you'll do that, won't you, Aerith? Aerith,
Are you going to eat them?
Considers it.
By the way, you have no clue what she's on about. Like, you've never seen one of these things before.
He's a vegan.
Oh, what?
Everyone. Me trying to rile up this group is it shouldn't be that difficult. Now we are live.
Excellent. We are live and thoroughly riled.
The shankings will continue until humor improves. Yes.
Yes.
What?
Something about being riled. It was my contribution.
There's
we
too
still-
many jokes and not enough time. Okay, it is 10 a.m.
The city of
have
many
some time.
things.
The city of multiple names. It's a once were city. Different cultures have referred to it in different with different names. City of Stars is most common across cultures. City of Shadows is what some more, shall we say, what is it called? Not skeptical, superstitious. Subsects of cultures might refer to it because it is in ruins as a once were city.
So it is a ruined city with many names.
Yes.
So does that make it a baked cinnamon city?
Pretty much. Anything with cinnamon in it, I'll go with.
Synonym.
Yeah, but I heard cinnamon and I was like, okay, I'll run with it.
I heard cinnamon also, and I just
That's weird. Okay,
hungry.
maybe I was. You're welcome. I thought I'd said synonym because that was the.
No, I'm pretty sure you said synonym. I just think my stomach heard cinnamon as in cinnamon roll. So
my stomach also heard baked cinnamon too. So
Yeah, I want a cinnamon roll now. Thank
yes.
you.
yeah. What other names are there for a cinnamon roll?
I don't know, but they're lovely in any language. And so you find yourselves outside this city, and before you disembark from the barge, what item would you want to take with you from the barge that you believe could be of use? This is what we call our significant item mechanic for any sort of scene that's about to unfold or encounter that might unfold in the near future. And we don't really track inventory the same way that some other games do. So what we track is significant items that should come into play in some way, shape, or form. So you're headed out in the middle of the night into a ruined city to seek out a mysterious order that has abducted a baby.
Indy is making sure they have an extra piece of fabric because if they get the baby might be cold. So,
Okay.
Extra
Fabric or like cloak, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Not like sailcloth or anything. Like something soft.
Okay. Easily done.
John Doe grabs a light source.
Excellent.
I think Morgan wraps a large coil of rope around his torso to take with him.
You and your fucking rope.
That's just, I don't know.
No. I was trying to. I very badly quoted Boondock Saints.
I heard where you were going.
Yeah.
It turns out extremely useful in the movie. So it was a backhanded compliment. I love it. Me giving an obscure movie reference is a compliment, Jamie. I apologize for not picking a more well-known one. Nadine, you're about to say something before I rambled over the top of you.
Just that Sophia probably wouldn't. Everything. No, nothing. I'm not taking anything.
Just
They've
what?
got their painter set just in general.
Okay. Okay.
But I don't think they would.
So what they would normally
take
carry
anything
with
from the barge.
them, but nothing extra from the barge. Okay.
You don't get like this amazing charcuterie board you've created and then like get like a
No,
bag and just like push it into the bag.
No, but what you would have heard as the barge
Mhm.
veered, just banked very, very heavily, would have been and there's just everything everywhere. Great. They come up, they're like, okay, if you don't have breakfast, you don't have breakfast. That's fine. You can't drive, you're not getting breakfast.
So much for the eggs.
The eggs are on them now.
Well, I suppose we're not
The only option-
having eggs for breakfast.
Unless you like them scrambled.
Sophia like gets a poached egg just on them and hands it to Indy.
You know, I think I'd like the grains.
They are on the floor.
You're not going to try and shake some out of your boot or something. And let's see. Eniton.
Anytime we'll actually go find when Sophia has done her ranting and kitchen flailing,
Mhm.
Ice, a piece of cloth, a couple of sacks, and he's actually speaking to Sophia at this point. And I believe something salty and sweet. What do we have in the kitchen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought, are you mistaking me? I'm not your mother. Go get it yourself.
No, you were in the kitchen just a moment ago and therefore know where everything is.
No.
Or I can take the next 10 minutes finding it.
Everything is on the floor. Enjoy.
Very good. So at any time we'll go in and again emerge a little while later with his minor shopping list.
Okay. If you had to sum it up in like a
AB Soother.
there you go. That works.
If the objective, because the mental image Anyton has is shh, 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 here they come. Oh, here
Gotcha.
we go. So here, some milk, because Anyton is mostly clueless when it comes to small children. He knows kids
Mhm.
like milk, so ice to keep the milk from going sour, and something salty sweet for the kid to nosh on.
Okay, that works.
Baby soother.
I dig it. And you disembark from the barge and head out into the ruins, I assume. Yes.
Well, if
I
everyone else
like the
is,
whole
yes.
crew of the ship coming down, or is it?
2 will go with you. The other 3, it doesn't take like a dozen to run the ship. The other 3 are going to stay with the ship. There's a minor repair that needs to be made. Something got basically knocked out of alignment. And that way the ship is ready to go when you are.
No. I think Morgan says to Ishmael, "Don't worry, we'll get him back."
You say that all the way from the desert?
Yeah. Ishmael stayed behind, decided to stay behind.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. I thought
After Sophia reminded him that he had a upset wife to probably console.
that's why. Yep. Okay. Yep. I remember that.
But you can say that onto the wind and see if it reaches him. Like that is equally dramatic and fits quite well.
No, I don't think.
Okay.
Where Morgan's at, I think he suits himself up and making sure that the other members of the expedition are appropriately armed and or prepared.
So you have the compass to kind of guide you in the direction you believe of the child. It so far had steered you quite well. What sorts of preparations would you like to take as you are looking through the ruins? Is there anything in particular that you want to keep an eye out for, other than obvious like hostiles, I assume?
Well, once we get inside the city, Morgan turns to everyone and says, "I hope none of you are allergic to cats."
Why would I be allergic to cats?
I
Or
think
why
a
is
more
it-
relevant.
Why is it
Sorry, go ahead.
significant?
I'll take that as a no. All right, good. I just thought we might need a little help, and like, it's almost like the air around Morgan gets a little bit colder as he like puts his hand out towards a nearby shadow, and a huge fuck off cat appears. It's a white, like a panther, basically. Like it's a snow cat, just sort of materializes out of the shadow.
For a moment, I was concerned you were going to huck up a hairball.
A white cat from the shadows? A white cat? Shadows. Just appears, or like grows out of the shadow and turns white? Or like grows out of a... Does the shadow become white?
No, I think it just like steps out as if it had always been there.
I see. Thank you. I was just curious as to how... Because shadows are usually dark, you see.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's no longer a shadow once the cat's there.
I mean,
It
it's
could
not.
be a white shadow. It could be a moonlight shadow.
Or was it ever actually a shadow?
That's light, my dear. That's light.
That's not how shadows work.
That's not. That's the opposite of shadows.
I don't know what you're talking about. I see
Was
white
the
shadows
cat
all the time.
inside the shadow the entire time, or was the cat never actually there?
Yes. And I think that, like, as it happens, Morgan sort of kneels down and ruffles the fur on either side of the big cat's face and says, "I know, buddy, I haven't had much time for mischief lately." And then it's like, "Oh, we need your help."
Mm-hmm.
And Morgan's going to hope that mischief can pick up a scent or something like that. I know we've got the compass, but it's a little bit hard to move in straight lines when you're in a city.
Well, this is true. Excellent. So we have the compass and we have mischief.
Jondo is very much enjoying this sudden cat. It's just like, and then when it's like, I haven't had time for mischief, it's just like, it's like, that's the thing where it's like, reach out and just like grabs whoever's nearby his arm. It's just like, oh God, oh, it gets better. Oh.
Do you need some kind of medical assistance? Are you okay?
He likes mischief. Yes.
That entrance was almost as flamboyant as yours.
Indy will enter the city with bemusement.
Did Indy close the book?
Yes.
Did she put the book away? Or they put the book away?
No.
Okay.
And they're not sure why.
I don't know that I ever asked. What is the title of the book?
They don't know. They don't actually know, because the title of the book would be on the title page, not on the cover. So it's a bound book that doesn't have a title, but they know that it's a historical book of some kind.
I love it.
Yeah.
There and back again.
Here and
Not quite.
now. then and now, then and tomorrow,
War and peace.
And
home
then
and
when?
away.
Neighbors become good friends?
It's the book is titled Home and Away, the complete DVD set.
Nice.
Yeah.
No,
Now
I
that's
know
what I call
exactly
time.
what book it is.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So, within city limits, you would find it's quite a sprawling place. The city does fit it for its scope, though it is ruins now. The further away from the silhouette of the bluff, the more dilapidated and corroded the ruins have become over time. Shin and knee height in some of the more the first ones that you came upon, and growing until they are obscuring your vision. Some of them still have partial roofs intact. Some have a wall that might still be complete, that sort of thing. You'll find a variety of not decor, but architecture that is in pieces here or there, whether it be archways that may have some ornate elements to them, or stairs that are made of stone rather than wood, and go up or down. You'll find some cellar, well, what you believe are cellar openings, is like, it would just make sense in a few of them as you pass on by. The earliest ones are filled up with sand to the point where there's only a few inches of the portal still visible to denote that there was a basement of sorts or cellar beneath the structure. But as you get further in, there is more of the walls and in some cases roofs. You find the dark shadows of the openings rather than the moonlight glinting on the sand. So you'll, if nothing else, you'll find yourselves following the compass and mischief, weaving through the city, headed toward the bluff itself, until you reach a grand set of double doors that are maybe a story and a half tall, set into the side of the geological structure of the bluff itself. It all looks as though it is carved stone, though the doors are slightly ajar, enough for maybe one or two very lithe folks to move through at once. And the compass seems to be pointing that direction.
Well, here's where it gets sticky.
Do you enter? And if so, who enters first?
I think Morgan suddenly looks like he's going to enter first if no one stops him.
Okay.
Does Morgan look stealthy? Does Morgan look capable of staying level-headed if look, there's baby. Indy will go first.
No, I think you
okay.
would definitely get the vibe that he would be rash in the face of baby.
Yeah.
Stealthy possible, but chances are. But
Indy will put a hand on his arm and just say, perhaps I should go first.
Chris, mechanical question for you.
Yes.
What is the limit of magic?
The limit of magic is going to be based on the amount of energy you pull, the quality of the conduit in which you channel it through, and whether or not it's enough to reach the desired effect. And then, of course, there's a balancing component. So what is it that you would like to attempt to do? Is I think where we should start.
Okay, fair enough. For lack of a better way of putting it, use magic to just pull the door open wider.
Okay. Magic, the
lack of a better
limitations.
My understanding is that magic is the fine line between reality and what you want reality to resemble. So for lack of a better way of putting it, what Aintan wants to be confronted by is a slightly different reality where the door is a little bit wider open.
Okay. Absolutely. And magic is ritualistic in nature, so it will take some time. But if everyone is patient, it is definitely possible.
Okay. So
but it'd be based on the card you pull as to how much time it would take.
Okay. So I think Aintan will actually suggest the idea of this place has many names, which should have much history. Ether should be thick here. We should use that to our advantage, as opposed to trying to force our way in, perhaps make the road smoother. Pretty sure if you give me a few minutes, possibly that door could be wider. And thus we do not have to worry about who goes first. You can walk in at the same time.
It's less about who goes first and more about what happens when everyone goes through at the same time. And how people react.
This is a conversation that's been going on for like more than 2 minutes.
More like 20 seconds at this point.
Okay.
But if you think we should all go through at the same time, then yes.
Well, as opposed to squeezing through one at a time.
I just don't want to lose the trail, but if you think it's wisest.
Chris, remind me again, is it just a flat facade and then the door, or is there ways that you can go around?
No, it is the flat facade of the stone, the bluff itself, the rocky bluff, and the carved double doors that are about a story and a half tall. And one of the doors is cracked outward, about shoulder width for an average, a broader person, like maybe, who Morgan wants to grow up to be. We've talked about him wanting to fill out. And if he went, full breadth through, or two lither people trying to squeeze through together.
Is there anything resembling like a door handle?
Carved of stone.
And and the door's opening outwards. John Doe pulls on the door.
Okay.
The one that's already opened is like,
It's a heavy stone door.
Does it still move, or is it just like, this is really heavy?
It would be really heavy in that point. So it really is up to how much energy you're going to try and exert for John Doe. We're talking, it'd be like trying to move a 2-ton vehicle that's not on wheels.
He's not going to like exert himself over it. It was more sort of like, given that it's already open, it's like, is this like the thought being is like, is this like a counterweighted door or something that it's actually not as hard?
Oh,
and
no.
And so like the discussion of like, we need magic to do is like, can I just, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, fair.
Yeah, no, if it was counterweighted at one point in time, it is no longer. And it is the full weight of the door to move. You do believe, just kind of taking an assessment of it, the hinges seem to function. So once you get it moving, you can probably get some momentum with it.
I think at this point, Sophia will kind of put a hand on John Doe's back and like just very quietly say, "Shall we see if today is my death day?" And then they're just going to walk through.
Indy will follow.
No. If I get a say.
As you watch them walk through.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't stop them. It's just like.
Excellent. No screams of terror are emanating from the other side of the door.
Nice.
Because you're already dead.
Wait, the outside or the inside? Are they screaming in terror on the other side of the door, or is it us?
Neither side do you hear screaming.
Worth checking.
Yeah. Both sides are equally the same decibels as it was before you entered.
What do I see?
Lots of darkness.
Oh, I see nothing. Nice.
Unless you have a light. I mean, John Doe said he was bringing light source. We can assume that that's a light source per person. That's perfectly fine. We don't have to share like one lantern or something.
Can I hear anything? Or could I put effort into hearing or sensing?
Yeah. And with which aptitude would you want to do that? And tell me what the base rating is. Because you may not need to pull.
Peacekeeper.
Peacekeeper?
6 is the base.
Okay. You would need a pull for that.
Mm-hmm. Come here.
Okay.
I have no idea how to take the card without drawing the card.
No problem.
And doing it that way. Yeah, Peacekeeper and which suit is that? That's the.
Yeah. So, are you? I'm assuming that you're listening in the physical world.
I was
for
listening.
Sound.
I was actually listening for anyone who might be communicating through Silent Walker speech.
Ah.
So that would be Aethral. Oh, that would be Aethral. Hey, I have an ace.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll use that.
Yeah, that'd be a 14 plus your 6 is a 20.
Essentially, because I know that Omar can somewhat communicate, I want to know, how you going, Omar? How you going, buddy? Can you hear me? You there? Say something.
Okay. Go ahead and discard a card for me. And the other of you that are walking through after, I'm assuming Morgan doesn't wait too much longer after.
No, I mean, Sophia and Indy have shown no signs that they can protect themselves, so Morgan will have to do it for them.
Good, dutiful God.
One of them is carrying a shield.
They were sitting on a shield reading a book, as far as I'm concerned.
I have a shield.
Indy.
And it's on your idea, while solid, did not seem to sway Sophia nor Indy. So they kind of moved on through.
Yep. We'll wait. Essentially, being the other person in the group who has a shield, they'll be the last one through, with the idea if something comes up behind them, then they can at least prevent it from immediately dispatching them quietly.
I dig it. So John Doe, you'll enter in, I'm assuming, around the time of Morgan, or shortly after, or shortly before. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, around that time.
Okay.
maybe gives sort of shrugs a little at Nenaton. It's like, oh, well, I guess this is what we're doing now.
Yep. And as everyone's filing in, Indy, you will hear kind of just a happy kind of giggle and cooing sound of a child.
I think we had to clarify this last week as well, but in a creepy way? Question mark?
No, in a perfectly normal, adjusted, happy child sort of way.
Yeah. Happy child psychically cooing.
I was just going to say, we are not hearing tubular bells. Got it.
Yes. Well, actually, for anyone listening carefully, you might actually hear it as well, not just telepathically.
Omar's not able to distinguish which should be which is which. All communication is communication.
Mm-hmm. And it seems to come from in front of you and deeper within whatever this structure is. For any of you that were kind of checking out the bluff as you got closer, you would notice that the silhouette of it gives way to a much more jagged and crumbled reality than what the night sky left as a backdrop. It seemed to have been some sort of optical illusion of different chunks of the once complete bluff kind of at the right angle, looking whole again.
Yeah, I mean, John Doe and Morgan step through with John Doe's light. I think Morgan just looks at them and is like, this is not a good place to raise a child.
As you follow the sound, whether it be telepathically as well as the compass and mischief as well, all direct you in the same to the same place. You follow a hall that is wide and narrows into, I don't want to say it's not a stairwell, but it is similar to a wrapping stairwell. It's just a ramp that goes around instead, spirals down into a lower level. And the sound of Omar, being the happy little child that he is, echoes off of the stone walls. And skips merrily ahead of you.
Can we just look down and see what's down there?
The light will reach the base, and it doesn't see anything else. If you don't use the light, there's the faintest of a purplish hue in the air.
Sorry, did you say we see Omar skipping merrily?
No, the sound, the sound seems to
Right.
skip merrily.
I had a moment of like, that was a newborn child, right? Like,
No. The sound. I tried to give it, some,
yeah.
and some
That makes a lot more sense.
personification.
Yeah.
I think Eintan will take some of this crumbly debris and sand and stuff and just drop a pebble off the edge.
You hear the sound of a baby crying as a stone hits it in the face.
No, that does not happen. But you do hear the stone fall, like hit hit the stone floor beneath it.
1-2 seconds more.
Maybe 2.5, 3.
Eintan will raise an eyebrow. You have a lot of walking to do.
It seems deceptively far.
You say that like you're not a silent walker.
Fine. They have a lot of walking to do.
Just noting.
So Eintan is going to turn around before anyone advances and will give the group what might even be a vaguely challenging look. What is our intention? Are we committed to violence in the name of the child? Are we here to speak? Are we poor guests? Or are we intruders?
We did not knock. We are already poor guests.
But not yet intruders.
Door is open.
This is true.
I mean, I'm not sure if the rules of etiquette apply when you're pursuing people who have kidnapped a child.
Please understand. They follow a religion, from what we know. They believe themselves to be doing what is just for the child. We are here to represent the interests of the mother. And so again, I ask you the question. If they refuse to yield the child, do we spill blood or do we take no for an answer?
Guess it depends on the no.
Yes.
Just to wrap my head around the visuals again, it's a hole in the floor.
It's a spiral staircase with an empty void in the middle leading down. Eintan tossed a stone out into it. It took about 3 seconds to hit the ground. That's 30 odd meters, 100 feet.
Question for the GM. How much time was there between us seeing these individuals, us crashing into the dunes, and us getting into this building?
They maybe had like a 10-minute head start on you. So maybe a total of 30, 40 minutes.
Oh man, this could go real bad. Okay, I'm gonna pull as well.
Okay.
But I think Sophia's just doing the maths in their head. Like, man, these guys must have like super speed because 300 feet all the way down. And
I
how
said,
close is the baby sound?
no, 130 meters or about 100 feet on a spiral staircase.
Right. Okay.
On a spiral
Ramp,
ramp, sorry.
technically.
Spiral ramp. Yeah, ramp.
It's a ramp?
It's a ramp. There are no actual stairs.
We could roll
Oh.
down. It could be
Oh,
a
Sophia's
slide.
sliding.
Should we just slide? That sounds
Oh
painful.
yeah, Sophia's 100% just sliding.
I mean, is it smooth enough to be a slide?
Like,
Hey.
I will say,
There could be some debris, but
Do you really want debris in your debris? I'm just saying.
I've already got breakfast in my debris, so I
These
feel
are
like
personal problems.
what they will try to do, and obviously make me pull if I have to, but they're gonna like do a small running start and like essentially skate down. If they fall on their ass, they fall on their ass. If they don't, it's not a problem.
Surfing on sand and pebbles, as it were.
Yep.
Yeah, barefoot surfing.
And if they fall, they'll like fall onto their one of their legs, and they'll kind of they're just trying to surf it down.
What would is there a particular aptitude that they're going to use to calculate this and control their body movements? You don't have to pull a card. I just want to know what your base rating would be.
I guess somewhere between like confident and fortitude.
Okay.
Or I suppose dynamo.
Those all sound like good possibilities.
Let's go fortitude.
Okay. And that is a base.
That's a base 9.
9?
Yeah.
Sophia begins to kind of use the sand and debris to skate down the ramp.
Sick.
You don't hear any thud or any, ow or cursing like you did when the ship banked hard.
You will hear like a, oh, my shoe, I discovered.
Yeah, I think Morgan then, after not hearing any thuds, Morgan just follows suit. So that looks cool.
Is it like a helter-skelter?
You basically need to have an 8 or better as your base rating to not have any problems. Think of it kind of like a kids creating a makeshift amusement park ride. Now, with the shields, you actually have a much lower number. You only need a 5.
Just to
basically not fall off the edge.
Yeah.
Prematurely. So.
Indy would do it because silent walkers pride themselves on balance, and if Sophia can do it, Indy
there
can.
You go.
But they're using confident.
Nice.
To make that point.
Love it.
I think when Indy gets down, are you using your shield?
No, my feet.
Have you got
confident?
Have you got confident? Have you got high confident?
Yeah.
Oh damn.
Well, I mean, it's 9.
Let's go. I think Sophia will kind of like just like nudge Indy with their elbow and be like, "What we get?"
Had to prove that balance isn't only your domain.
Can we not share it?
Apparently so.
Very good.
Morgan, you said you went down as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mischief just bounds their way down.
Yeah, and I mean, Mischief can do mischief things, poofing in and out of existence if required. So Yeah, I think just like keeping an eye out for any side passages or anything that we might have missed. But if we can hear intermittent giggling down below, then I'm just gonna keep going down.
Okay. Yeah, the walls are barren from what you can see. There are no alcoves or carvings. There may have been wall hangings at one point, but they've long since deteriorated or been looted or whatnot. And so it's pretty barren as you head your way down. John Doe, are you also just riding the wave?
Yeah, I think he's just thoroughly enjoying what just happened. And is just broadly grinning at how this is like transpired. And it's actually going to go try and go down. I'm going to use Dynamo, which is a base 12 in and a specialty. So he's going to try and go down particularly quickly.
Okay. Excellent. Anaton, any Tony Hawk tricks that we need to know about on the way to the...
Just the opposite.
Oh.
Everyone else is making the grand entrance. Anaton has got a base 12 in subtle. He will watch this go down. There's going to be this dead 2-3 anime pause, followed by so much for the conversation. You just turn around, drop a loop of rope around around a convenient pillar, and will literally rappel head down straight down the middle of the shaft, with the idea that these people who refuse to talk to him are going to make the huge distraction of coming scratching, scraping, rocketing down the, and he'll just drop slowly, and he'll just sort of appear in the shadows in the corner while they're providing a convenient distraction.
Fair enough. And you find yourself at the bottom in a much more shadowy part of the spiral, near everyone else, but quiet as Mischief's pause would be.
What do I see?
Well, you see your group, and you will see written in the dirt just down the hall a little ways, says, "What are your intentions?"
Do we all see that, or does Anaton?
Well, Anaton will be the first to see it, but it's visible for everyone.
Right. Okay.
Anaton will essentially remain crouched in a puddle of shadow, shield in one hand, the rope swaying slightly behind them, staff in the other, and wait to see what the group does.
Well, what are our intentions?
We just talked about it. Kind of depends on what they're doing, and how they respond to our dislike of them taking babies.
I just refuse to believe that a group of shadowy strangers that take a baby into a ruined city have good intentions.
So we want to understand their intentions with Omar.
I want to protect the child.
Okay.
And Etan will call out from where he is. From who?
Good question. Let's keep going.
Those who would take his choices from him, as per the mother.
Sophia will write underneath it, whether they'll see it or not, whether this is the messaging system. But they'll write, to come to a compromise.
A little further down the hall, you'll see a response. Compromise what?
Sophia will kind of like motion and say, I said the first, I broke the ice.
Indy will write, the mother misses her child.
You'll find in chalk on one of the walls further down this main corridor, what seems to be lines of poetry. It says, "The nest is always empty when the fledgling flies."
Is there a means to write on that near it, or at least somewhere near this message?
Absolutely. I mean, we don't. Omens Rising assumes that you have regular whatever you might have, whatever's reasonable for you to continue to tell the story.
John Doe writes, "The fledgling didn't fly; it was snatched from the nest."
There's a soft laughter further down the hallway that kind of echoes your direction. And the response is, "Not all wings look the same." That purplish hue is starting to intensify a little bit more at the edges of your light sources, but only the direction of the corridor. And there are other little alcoves and stuff here, but it seems to be this particular passage seems to lead one direction.
Or at least Indy does.
Sophia will follow.
Yeah, I mean, assume we're all, well, John Doe follows as well.
As you make your way a little further, you'll notice there's a large archway and an opening to a cylindrical room. In the center of it is a number of glowing purple runes that are carved into the stone. The glow itself does not seem to be necessarily emanating from the stone as much as it seems to be sitting atop the stone in those carvings. There are a number of other items around the edge of the circle. You find piles of, in one section, piles of different stone, different types of stone, things that are not like what you saw within this building. Some of them glint like crystal, and others are more opaque or matte, like maybe a limestone of sorts. You find a few candles lighting the area for their light source, but they also kind of have that purplish hue dancing upon them. You find a number of other elements of that sort in different positions along the circle. Kind of do any of your characters have a background with once were magics, or the tales of some of the more fantastic of them?
Yes, that sounds familiar. My guide. Guide is a conduit to the once were gods. They symbolize an array of qualities the denizens of the prime aspire to. Your connection to the Aether is ancient, giving you a +1 to pulls relating to myths and magics of unknown origins.
Excellent. Would you like to make a poll to determine what this is?
Let's do that.
Okay. Go ahead and draw up to 4 cards.
Okay.
And then which aptitude do you want to use for this? Are you going to tap into the Aetherol itself? Are you looking to, identify what the connections are, like with something like Inquisitive, or something else completely that I didn't think of?
I might use I was going to say elucidative, but if Inquisitive is better, that's also fine.
Oh, elucidative would be fine if you're trying to cut through to what, like a specific answer. That makes sense too.
I think yeah, so I think it's based on his knowledge and of these magics. So
okay,
using spades.
Excellent.
Queen of Spades with a base of 9.
9. So that's 12 plus 9, 21.
Oh, and affinity.
And and the guides as well. So that would be plus 3. So that's a 24. And so, yeah, you've definitely, that's a critical success. And Morgan, I should have said before on what was it? Was it Inquisitive that you used? That was also a critical success. So For hearts, Morgan, on your character sheet on Inquisitive, mark the heart.
I did.
And then, okay, cool. And then also for you, Sam, mark the spade next to elucidative, and you're 1/4 closer to leveling it up. You recognize this. It's what some would refer to as a teleportation circle. They're basically large stone pads made to with runes carved in them, and think of it like a rotary telephone or like a Stargate, except these are on the ground. In this case, some of them are upright, kind of like a Stargate or a moon gate of sorts, and they're pretty much dialing a location that they're trying to get to. And so each one of these piles of things, the one that was closest to you is these stones. These are conduits that are somehow connected to that location. So it might be minerals or stones that are common there, but are also conductive of aetherial magic and can serve as a conduit to help teleport them to that location. And each one of those little piles, in fact, the candles are simply just because they didn't have another light source. So they're incidental and mood setting. But that's pretty much what they're doing, is they're using a teleportation circle and they are dialing where they want to go.
You have said they 3 times. Do you mean there are people currently in the room?
Absolutely. You see the three figures, cloaked figures, and one Omar amidst the purple light.
Stop.
That's a teleportation circle.
Stop faster.
It's hard to disagree with that.
Oh my God.
Is in
It is
terms
not
of
something that happens quickly.
But the other thing was, in terms of like the dialing in, if you sort of just like, they've got these objects that they need.
Mhm.
If you just sort of like shift the objects away, does that kind of have to restart the process essentially?
You can pretty much, yeah, disrupt the,
Yeah.
if you can
Now-
separate it from the spell.
So
Yeah.
just to be clear, magic, which is what a teleportation circle would be, takes time. So so they can't just ignore us, nor are they likely to just suddenly blink out of existence as we walk in the threshold. They've got a few more minutes of chanting to go. Yes.
Yeah, and in this case, yeah, it's they're not using words of power, so they're not actually chanting, but they are using other items to pull that energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep, absolutely. So it's ritualistic in nature, as I was looking to describe earlier. If you were going to move the door, you basically pull the energy that you're attempting to pull, and you need conduits that can hold that much energy in order to get the effect you want. And depending on how successful they are at pulling and how successful the conduits are at holding up to that energy, depends on whether or not it works. So, and that all has to do with card pulls. So every card pull, think of it as a round. And in this case, they haven't pulled all the energy, and they are only one card pull in. So they only have a 1 round head start. But for something this size, any character that uses magic would know that this is not going to be 2 more rounds and poof. It's more probably going to be 3 or 4 rounds for something of this nature at minimum, and they would have to get lucky with their pulls. And I haven't even looked at my hand yet to know whether or not they'd even have a chance for that. So that's kind of how the mechanic itself works.
Is Is the circle like raised up from where we are, or is it down?
No, it's basically you would walk in and think of it like the sunken living room kind of idea. There's like 2 steps down, and then that's the floor, and that's the entirety of the cylinder room.
Yeah, I mean, did they respond to me yelling at them?
Oh, of course.
With
They just kind of look and get back to what they're doing. Because you haven't made a move. You've said something, but you haven't tried to intervene. So they aren't reacting with actions at this point.
That's the next step. I mean, Morgan unslings the spear from his back and starts walking towards the circle.
Okay. What would the rest of you do? What's your, call it a preparatory action before we enter into an encounter?
Indy takes out the staff and unslings the shield. Or more specifically, unslings the shield, unclicks the stuff from the shield.
Mm-hmm.
So you go.
Eniton, without looking towards her, she will hear his voice in their head. Apologies. And they will hear, "Do you commit to this?"
Sorry, who, me?
Yes.
Oh.
Eniton is telepathically communicating with Indy.
Yes.
Silent speak.
Yes.
Eniton will just barely perceptible nod and will mirror their actions. The shield will come off. The shield will be unhooked. The staff disconnected. A little bit of a shake, and will wait to see what the individuals do at the aspect of someone advancing on them with a spear.
Okay.
John Doe takes a slightly doesn't have a weapon to prepare, I guess, but also takes a slightly wider path, more angling towards one of these nodes that's set up, well, like, you know, in that sort of vague kind of direction. Yeah.
To interfere with the ritual?
But, well, like, to be able to if needed, I guess. But also doesn't want to be sort of away. And if it becomes more pertinent to engage with the people instead, to be, you know, near enough, I guess. But also I get calls out you said there's a lot that you know, you say that there's a lot of different kinds of wings, but these wings look a lot like kidnapping.
One will turn to you and with it's not a smile as much as it's like an acknowledgement in their eyes that you said something that intrigued them, and say, you insist on ownership of another being.
I'm sorry. Is your point that because you can't own a person, that taking a child from their parents isn't kidnapping?
Kidnapping implies belonging.
No, it means taking a person without consent from the person.
How do you know we don't have consent?
Because they're a child. They're a newborn baby who maybe has abilities, but not faculties yet. That's why they stay with parents for a while.
It's why they are guided for a while. Yes.
Not what I said.
I know what you said.
Do you? You're not giving that impression.
He gives a slight bow toward you as he continues whatever menial task it looks like he's doing, and says, I wish for you time with the Veil Callers. Then you might understand.
Are they here?
I don't believe so. They live in another part of the world.
Then we're gonna have to suffice with you.
Sophia,
Hmm.
what are you doing while this exchange is going on?
I think, just like me, they're a little. They haven't quite figured out the balance of the situation.
Mm.
I think they're gonna sit down at the entrance of this place, and they can see Omar from the space.
Yeah. One of them is cradling him. In one arm, as they're fiddling with some different things that they have. It looks like, it sounds like metals of sorts that they're piling up on the other side of the room, the other side of the circle from the entrance.
I think they're just going to sit down, and they're going to start drawing on the ground. And it's just going to be stick figures. There's going to be 2 to the left side, and there are 3 cloaked figures.
Yes.
3 on the right side, and then a little small stick figure in the middle. And just very quietly under his breath, he's just going to say, which way would you like to go, Omar?
And on that note, we're going to close out this session. Those are your preparatory actions, and we will start the encounter at the beginning of next session.
I can bet. Now.
And
now.
And yeah,
What?
we'll have
I won't
the
be
encounter
disappointed to
spread.
start it with new cards. I have two other 3s in my hand.
I have 2 queens that I did not use.
You didn't need to. You were all the queen we needed.
Thanks.
Don't expect that often. It's not going to happen.
Don't expect whatever hand motion I just did often either.
So thank you all. I hope you enjoyed the lead up to our encounter mechanic. as we kind of went through travel and we went through a little bit of puzzle. There are some hints thrown out there. I think that they'll come together as you start to make your way into the encounter itself. What questions do you have for me before we wrap up?
I guess most of them are going to be next session because I'm interested to see.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see how the encounter works.
Mechanically, what is the equivalent of counterspell? In other words, because the thing that crosses Aniton's mind is the only way to resolve this is to effectively prevent them from teleporting. As long as they continue making progress, they have the only options we have are violence. So if the Aniton's route to peace, if you will, route to balance is going to be essentially to jam their ability, without laying hands on them, try and essentially unravel their spell as fast as they cast it.
So you would one way is what John Doe was positioning to do, was to try and separate the conduit from the spell itself. Now, physically separating it will work, but you can't. Just kicking it to the left a few inches isn't going to have that effect. And John Doe would understand that. You would have to actually separate it far enough or with some other ethereal means in order to sever that connection once the ritual is begun. It's only one step in, so it's not super tied to it, but you'd have to make some sort of check, basically, is what I'm saying. You could do something of that nature. You could attempt to pull the energy. The aether isn't an all like, it's not hot water on demand. It's not just there all the time. There is a limited source. Most of these teleportation circles were located near ley lines, in which that's what they're tapping into, diverting that energy so they can't pull it, to pull it for some other means, benign or otherwise. That would also interrupt the spell.
Okay.
So think of it like a magical tug of war.
Okay.
So those are two off the top of my head that would be the equivalent of a counter spell. So either disrupting the ritual actively or redirecting their power source.
Okay. That gives me something to think about over the intervening week.
Or you can just stop them from continuing, like Morgan and Indy are intent on doing. But that's the more violent route, which was not the direction you wanted to go specifically. So any other questions for me before we say goodnight or goodbye? Good day.
Good lunch.
Good lunch. Sophia's not making it.
All right.
Bonsoir et bon appétit. Yeah.
If no other questions, then shall we say goodbye, Shauntelle?
Yes. Let
Goodbye,
us say
Shauntelle.
goodbye.
Bye, Shauntelle.
Bye, Shauntelle.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Then.